Welcome to ISTE 2020 and Arreya Digital Signage. I'm Marco Nanelli, the Creative Director here at Arreya. Before I get started with this demo, if you're new to digital signage and Arreya, we are digital signage software, but much more than just that traditional screen on your school's wall. We provide all the tools to create, manage, and deploy your communications. But what sets us apart is our technology also reaches devices like phones and computers. So now you can reach your students when they're learning from home or wherever they are with that same communication that's at your school. So if you are interested in learning more about Arreya during ISTE, please set up a meeting with us. Do check out our other demos we have. There's an Arreya overview, which covers the basics. There's one on PWA, which is that progressive web app feature that reaches all devices. And I'm also going to be running an in-depth Creative Studio demo for designing your signage. We're also giving away a Captain American shield here at ISTE, so you can enter through the ISTE raffle page offer that they have on this site. And also check out our website, arreya.com, for any other information you may need, hardware needs, things like that. And you can call us anytime to discuss your digital signage questions with us. So I'm going to jump into digital signage page for you, and we're going to get into how we are integrating Google Suite and the Google Sheets, Google Slides, and Google Calendar inside our signage software. All right, so on your screen, you should be seeing what would be a sample of a digital signage, what would be in your school. Just to cover some of the content, I'm going to do an overview of what's on this page. In the top left is a time and date widget showing the time and date, then a headline, and then below that we actually have a photo slideshow that is integrated with Google Slides that's feeding the content to this page. Down the middle in the yellow, we have a reminders to do. That's a typed in list. But below that in the events and sports, we're integrating Google Calendar onto this page. So I'm going to get into how to get that content on the page and how easy that happens. From there in the top right is also another Google Slides. That's directly feeding from a Google Slideshow into our display. Then a graphic below that, the what's new. And then we have one of our widgets, which is a countdown widget doing the 17 days, 23 hours, and it progressively comes down to that 30-day book challenge on December 15th. So that's what the display is that we're going to be looking at. I'm going to jump into the editor. And now inside the editor, I'm going to show you how to link and integrate the Google integration. So within our other demo for the overview, we'll be covering how to do parts in Arreya, but right now I'm going to get into the aspects of integrating the widgets of the Google Calendar, the Google Slideshow, and the Google Sheets. So the first one is Slideshow. So if we hit Google Slideshow, a widget comes up and it's asking for the embedded code. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the Google slide. And what I've done is pre-set up a Google slide here. It's a what's been happening slideshow. So you'll do a new documentation or presentation. Once that's opened, you'll set up your slide. And when you're inside your slides, to get the URL to sync it, first we're going to do publish to web. So you come down under file to publish to web, and inside here you're going to click on the publish to web, and inside here you're going to find the embedded and the link. And what we're after is the embedded iframe document. And inside here, to simply sync your content into Arreya, you're going to copy this code here, and then we're going to jump back into the Arreya widget on the Arreya window, and in the top where it says embedded code, we're going to simply paste it in. And now you'll see in the preview to display the slideshow that we've created. And inside here, we can set the duration. So you can change this timing to be 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 6 seconds. And there's options for controls. For if this is a touchscreen, you could add controls on, which would give them the ability to scroll through the slides. In this case, it's off. We're going to loop it, and we're going to have the auto start on. So if you hit OK, it's going to populate on the screen. And as you see to the left, the matching one and content is displayed, and we're just going to size it and scale it into position. And as you see, once it's in there position, we would slide it in place and put it on. So if that wasn't there, we'd currently create our slideshow. And now we have a direct feed to our display. So we are feeding from the Google Slides into display. Now inside Google Slides, we can add and change anything. And the power to this is that anyone at the school can have access to this, and they can they can have their own new page, and from inside here create another document or some content to play on your screen. In this case here, I'm just going to put a background color and cover just to show you how it looks. So here we have the screen, and say we're going to do some new images from some students at home working from school. They're going to post this, say, or your own school photos. You can bring them in. We're going to add them to the slide here and create this quickly to feed new content to the display. And I'm going to show you how instant and quick this can happen. So we kind of have the layout. It's ready to go. One thing to note is that because Google is always constantly live, we don't want to have content displaying on our screen that's being worked on and displayed. So you log back into Arreya and hit push live, and the feed will automatically update with the new content. One thing we can also do is we can rearrange the slides inside Google to play in certain orders and change them around. And then once they're in Arreya, we can publish and see the new slide. There it is in the playing and ready to go. So there's a new slide we just created, automatically happening and instantly live on the page. The other place the slide is happening is the top right. The aspect ratios here is different. So one thing to think about, as you see, the first one was more of a vertical positioning, which the size of this was 550 by 650-ish pixels. And then top right is more of a 16 by 9 ratio, which is more of the standard. So scaling-wise, you can set up your Google slides to match the size inside of Arreya. So on the top right, we have the COVID messaging information. So this can be shared with someone else at the school. And now you can set up this information. As you can see, under page setup, we can get into the 16 by 9 ratio is what that ratio in Arreya was set up as. So now it matches and will scale and will be proportioned to fill that area. So this content then is again fed into Arreya. Inside anything in Arreya, we have the styling sheet options which are available. So you can also take the opacity down on objects. We can tint out a slideshow. A background image can be a slideshow tinted out, as you can see. So the options are it gives you a lot of things to do. You can put a rule around your images and change the sizes within the style sheets. And anytime you can go back into the settings and change, maybe you wanted this to be longer. So now we can go back in and change this to say 15 seconds. So it revolves every 15 seconds, the slideshow now, while the one on top and bottom left corner revolves every 6 seconds. So that covers Google's integration with Google Slides. The other thing happening on this page is, like I mentioned, the Google Calendar. So the Google Calendar works simply by having a Google Calendar ready to go that's set up and populated in Google Calendar. And if I jumped into Google Calendars, I have this one, the athletic schedules calendar for some sporting events set up. And what we're going to do is feed that into Arreya. So when you do create a new widget, under the widgets, you bring up Google Calendar down at the bottom. When you select that, the dialog box will come up to populate and ask you for the calendar URL. And you'll need the calendar URL from Google Calendars, which I'm going to show you what to grab. And then from there, we'll adjust the parameters for the display. So back in the Google Calendar, once you have it set up, you'll click on the Options button inside Google Calendar, which is the 3 dots. Once you set inside there, you go inside the settings. Once inside the settings, you're going to need to grab the Google Calendar ID. That's as you scroll down the integrate calendar. So we're integrating calendar into Arreya, and it's just a calendar ID line, and it's just this code of line here that we're going to copy. When you copy it, you're just going to jump back into Arreya, another window, and inside Arreya, you're going to paste it into the URL part here. Once you paste it in, the top should populate. So you know the preview is correct. Right now we have the month option. You can see it's the typical monthly calendar board. We can do weekly. So when you click a week, it'll just display what's on the week. Different options. What I've shown down below is a slideshow. So it's going to flip through every day's event during the week or the day. So if you have lots of things going on during the day, you can do that. Typical to do a weekly type calendar to scroll through the events for that week. If we hit OK, it'll populate on screen. As you see on screen, I can move it around in place, and I'm going to need to style it. Right now, it comes in defaulted. The text size that it comes in is too small, and the style options we are going to get inside here, under the text box, under the font size, we can increase the font size. We can also in here change the coloring and adjust any of the, say for this instance, we'll make it a blue instead of black. From here, the options up above, you see we don't necessarily need the dates and the times if it was its own page. That's there. So we can then jump back into the settings tool. And this is where we'll find the title on or off. That's up top for the date. And the interaction with the arrows will turn that off. And now when we hit OK, it gets updated. And you can see it's matching a lot like we had previously. And we can move it into location. If we were, say, putting this in to begin with. You can move it into location, size it, and scale it to what we want it to be. And now this is feeding your display from Google Calendar. So that means anytime there's an update to the calendar of events, your devices will be changing and updated instantly. So if there is a cancellation to an event, that's handy because that will get removed, and any updates will also be added. So that covers Google Calendar. One thing to show you now is if we push live, this goes instantly live, and Arreya is URL based. So with the URL that we've set up for ISTE, which is ISTE2020.arreya.com, if you are to type that into your onto your phone or your device, this exact page will come up and display as I show here, a full screen type view, and our edits and change of the blue text and our new photos have been updated. So that's how instant and live it is. So thinking about that student at home, they'll have that relevant information in their hands the moment it happens and is updated. And then the other part of it is keeping the content on your display current and being able to assign different people. Someone could be assigned the calendar to be updating that weekly. Someone else could be doing the COVID messaging. Someone else could be doing this photo of what's been happening. And then your site is always updated. And there's more than just one person that is keeping that content current. So that covers the Google integration with slides and calendar. What I'm going to jump into next is going to be Google Sheets. And where this is used for schools is mainly inside of for menus. A great way to integrate content and that the idea of a menu updating and changing weekly, the cafeteria, the school menu, and how do you get that information or content out there. So our a good solution here is using Google Sheets. And as you can see on the screen now, we have a menu sample. And it's a Monday through Friday type menu. And each listing, you can see as I click through, there's a lot of different cells and objects on the screen. And each one of these objects, say the choice of muffin here, this is linked to a cell in Google Sheet. So inside Google Sheets, I'm just going to jump there to show you how that's working. Google Sheets, we have, and cell A4 is choice of muffin. If I jump back to Arreya, inside the parameters here, the settings, we're setting A4 to bring the content. So whatever content is in the Google Sheets in A4 will display in our Arreya page in this field here. So the initial part of setting up is kind of tedious to go through and getting all your parts and pieces in the location you want. But the great thing about once it's set up is that the updating and the weekly changing can happen pretty instantly. Again, we do need to sync to Google. So how we sync this is through the URL. So we simply need to just copy the URL of the sheet. So inside Sheets, we'll just copy the URL at the top, in this case, rather than getting into the settings like in the other two. And say under Widget, say we wanted to add a new cell, we'll go to Google Sheets data. And we'll put in the URL. And from there, let's get that going. Google Sheets. Didn't take. Okay, so A1, I'll go back here, sorry. A1 is Monday. A2 would be a blank area in the sheet. A3 would be that breakfast line if you follow down Monday. And then A4 would be the choice of muffin. And we want worksheet 1, that's the first worksheet. Hit OK, and now it comes up. And so there's our cell, and then from there we would style it like we're styled in the other application. We could go in and change the font size. This is all covered in the creative demo and also some of the basics of Arreya. We also have YouTube videos you can watch and to see how to do this in more detail. But there we have it in scaled, and you just put it into position. And now anything in that cell that's changed would be updated on this page. So just to show you that sample, if we change it to choice of muffin, maybe for that day is egg sandwich. And once back in Arreya, we just hit push live and do the instant. Now everything is egg sandwich. That menu is changed and reflects a current change to the menu. So if that item was to change throughout the week, someone could update and have that updated on their signage. From there, you can also do the weekly. So like I mentioned, one of the settings said sheet 1 or sheet 2. What displays all the time is sheet 1. Right now we have it in the first sheet that's played is what syncs to Arreya. So if we were to simply, I've set up a week 2 here, say week 2 comes, you can simply set up all your weeks ahead in advance, and come week 2, you slide it in position to be the first sheet in the lineup here. When you come into Arreya and hit push live, the whole entire menu will update and change to week 2, which would be next week. So that can happen instantly for you and really update your content and keeps that ability to have your current content and without much work or effort other than updating the sheet all the time. And you don't have to reset up the pages, so it reflows instantly for you. So that's the gist of the Google Sheets now. You can also use it to do content within a page. You can have a single menu going down your page, so we could have back on our other page that we showed initially first, one of those fields could have been a menu, just a more simplified version, and populating that way. Other Google widgets we have are going to be the Google Maps. I can quickly jump in there. We can pull in a map from anywhere. So if you had the need to put Google Maps, that's simply putting the location in New York. And from there, we can bring in a map onto your page pretty seamlessly, effortlessly. You can see it, how it's going to look, and you have a map of the area. One other option we can have is to also integrate Google Forms. This is handy with schools. If you've set up a form and have a form, you simply put in the URL. And what it does on your screen, it brings in that same form that you're maybe using elsewhere on a website. And now that can be populated and gather content for surveys and different things. And finally, another Google integration will be Google Charts. So if you're setting up Google Charts, you just need to create and design your Google chart. And then you put that URL, copy and paste that URL, and display that on your digital signage. So that there covers our Google integration. A lot of the other widgets and the applications of how you can design and move things around can be covered in the other demos we're going to be showing throughout the week. So if you have any questions or any other concerns of how to integrate Google into your signage, you can always contact us, call us, or email us. We do free demos and can always get on the phone to show you how to get through. Maybe you're having some trouble syncing something up and walking you through that. So we're always here to help you. That basically covers Google integration into Arreya Digital Signage and then the power of that and how efficient that can happen. Hope to see you at some of the other demos here or check out our other demos, and we can that kind of concludes what I have to show today for digital signage and integrations. Thank you for your time, and enjoy ISTE 2020.